Merchandising is nothing new and has played, at least from a business standpoint, an integral role in the longevity of a franchise. For better or for worse, strong merchandise sales help greenlight productions and can inspire future generations of artists. However, often enough, a product can be a little perplexing. The Goonies 5-piece nesting doll set. Now, I own a lot of strange stuff, and something like this not only would fit in perfectly with my collection, but it inspired me to find even weirder things and ultimately make this list. Also, for this, I'm limiting it to one piece of merchandise per franchise. I'm Kevin from PlastiK AddiKts, and here it is, the 20 pieces of merchandise that are so weird, you kinda want them. Number 20. Indiana Jones Map Room Playset. Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of my all-time favorite films. Let's face it, if you're watching this video, there's a very real chance you've seen the movie as well. Which means you know that there are plenty of action-packed scenes that could be perfect for playsets. The map room where Indy discovers where the Lost Ark is buried isn't one of them. With this playset, you can recreate legendary moments like Indy climbing down a rope, counting holes, and waiting for the sun. Beam of reflected light not included. The only weirder scene to have made a playset out of would have been the auditorium where FBI agent Eckhart, you know what I mean, is made aware of what the Nazis need with Ravenwood. That being said, if someone gave me this, it would definitely end up displayed in my living room. Number 19. The Birds Barbie doll. Barbie's resume is vast, to say the least. She's been everything from a volleyball coach to a presidential candidate. However, her portrayal of model-turned-actress Tippi Hedren being attacked by murderous crows has to be the weirdest. Not without her fair share of controversial dolls, Barbie has always been about female empowerment. Granted, her character Melanie Daniels isn't a stereotypical blonde people associate with horror movies and is actually pretty admirable, but given Hedren's outspokenness about the abuse she suffered at the hands of the Birds director Alfred Hitchcock...
What did he say to you?
He said, "I'll ruin your career."
Wow.
I said, "Do what you have to do," and out the door I went.
At least little children won't have to recreate scenes from other Hitchcock movies. Number 18. Remco Star Trek Astro Helmet / Spock Helmet. Now, the action of label slapping was relatively common before the late 70s. This was when a company obtained the licensing rights to an intellectual property and themed a pre-made toy after it simply by slapping a picture on it. Remember this practice because it's going to come up again on this list. The weirdest thing to me is that Star Trek has been label slapped onto 2 separate helmets. The first one is the Remco Star Trek Astro Helmet, which does have an odd Art Deco sci-fi look to it, but isn't the most shameless example because in some long stretch of the imagination, you could see a villain or a crewman in an unusual circumstance wear this. The official Star Trek helmet complete with antennae, face shield, and siren light has no excuse. This suggests that the no-nonsense intellectual Spock would cosplay as the opening credits of the Naked Gun movies. Number 17. The Grinch Getaway Car. What's the one vehicle that people often associate with the Grinch? If you took less than 3 seconds to think sleigh, you would put more thought into a Grinch toy than Radio Shack ever did. The one scene in Ron Howard's The Grinch movie sees Jim Carrey stealing the world's smallest car to drive at about 40 feet and crash was weird enough to make a toy out of. However, they couldn't get the likeness rights, so the manufacturers used the likeness from the book instead.
It's because I'm green, isn't it?
So now we live in a world with a Boris Karloff Grinch driving an RC car. It's kind of awesome. Number 16. Monster Face. Hasbro released this ghoulish toy as I'm guessing a way to knock the Potato Head family down a peg or two. You could spend hours of fun designing different kinds of grotesque faces and minutes enjoying the slime pimple because like all other slime toys, it worked once, got sticky, and your mom threw it out. So yes, I'm kind of cheating with this one as it doesn't have a franchise to cling to, at least this version of Monster Face. Remember that old label slapping? Bam! Hello, Goosebumps. Number 15. Hot Wheels McDonald's drive-thru. The huge appeal of Hot Wheels toys has always been speed and big flashy mayhem. Granted, McDonald's has seen plenty of actual mayhem over the years. Hi kids, I hope you enjoy your McNightmares. Seriously though, what child looks at their crisscross crash set and thinks, this would be more fun if I could slowly drive my car up to the world's largest drive-thru window, order a fillet of fish, and drive past a playground with an aggressive muscle man who looks like he's about to square off with your front fender. Seriously, what? Number 14. The Mr. T Water War. Once upon a time, a device designed to be connected to a garden hose, have sponges thrown at it, and spit water was invented, but was missing that extra something. Yes, the Mr. T Water War. The picture of the B.A. Baracus actor that they used for it was somewhat appropriate, as you can see by his expression that he pities the fool who invented this toy. Number 13. Matchbox Freddy Krueger doll. Thanks to our friends at Matchbox, the proud company that brought us a toy horse and buggy, a child can now snuggle up with everyone's favorite nightmare-roaming serial killer. Admittedly, the popularity of Freddy Krueger was at a fever pitch in the 80s when this was released. However, it doesn't excuse the fact that this pull-string doll of a child killer could be found in toy stores next to Teddy Ruxpin and My Little Pony. Arguably the most famous item on this list, and if I ever get a chance to own one, I wouldn't pass on it, but still.
Come to Freddy.
Number 12. E.T. Fingerlight.
That's a penis.
Yes, besides the obvious phallic shape of this toy, what would a child want with this? If it was E.T.'s ship or an Elliot version of the Evel Knievel stunt cycle, that would have been awesome. But his healing finger light? If it was a flashlight, that would make some sort of sense, but as a toy, the E.T. finger light is just healing my ability to make sense of its existence. Number 11. Rocky Meat. For those of you unfamiliar with the Rocky franchise, Rocky Balboa charmingly uses frozen slabs of beef as a heavy bag to train for a fight. It plays somewhat of an important role in the story, but this would be the Rocky equivalent of making a figure of Dorothy Gale's handbasket. Sure, it's kind of recognizable, but begs the question, why does this exist by itself? I mean, if it was an accessory, it would make sense, but as a standalone figure, it's just weird.
Move.
Number 10. Hasbro Darth Vader Chopper. The badass image of Darth Vader riding a chopper aside, it does beg the question, when did the Sith Lord travel to our galaxy, find a time machine to the future, and hire the West Coast Chopper to make him a custom bike? I mean, you could ask Luke Skywalker the same question, but given his time on a speeder bike, it does make a tiny bit of sense given that it's the Star Wars equivalent to a motorcycle. Doesn't count, he was still Anakin at the time. Now, to be fair, bootleg Star Wars toys have been around for decades, and the Darth Vader chopper could be a response, albeit several years later, to the Star Knight motorcycle. Number 9. Police Academy Handcuffs. Throughout the 80s, there were some very questionable movies that went on to inspire cartoons. Please don't think of me as a wet blanket. The concept of these becoming Saturday morning cartoons is actually pretty funny. Anyways, the raunchy Police Academy movies were so popular they got the 2D cell treatment. This obviously meant toys, which brings us to the handcuffs. These giant hands on a chain are not only weird, but are proof that something else was very popular in the 80s. Number 8. Bodacious Birthday Turtles. It's no secret that the Ninja Turtles have had one of the largest marketing campaigns, at least from a toy standpoint. They've been athletes, universal monsters, and whatever these are supposed to be. They could even be as shameless as to produce an Ace Duck figure, the fictitious cartoon within a cartoon. However, to me, nothing compares to the Bodacious Birthday Turtles. Released by Playmates in 1992, this lineup gives us Raph as a magician, Mikey as a birthday clown, and Leonardo as the birthday boy? Donnie doesn't even make an appearance.
And people think we geniuses have it easy.
In the early 90s, living in Manhattan started getting expensive, and let's face it, beating up members of the Foot Clan doesn't exactly put you on the cover of Forbes. So I'm guessing in order to afford their high pizza bill, the turtles have to moonlight as children's party entertainment. It's just sad. Number 7. The Sinking of the Titanic board game. Taking the real-life tragedy of the Titanic, where actual people died, releasing it in 1975 when the cultural zeitgeist wasn't exactly focused on the Titanic, making rules such as collect food and water by visiting islands in the North Atlantic, and rolling all these ingredients into a board game are probably why its manufacturing company Ideal is no longer around. Number 6. The Amazing Spider-Man mini train set by Durham. Oh, label slapping, thou art a shameless beast. Released in 1978, the Amazing Spider-Man mini train set was, in a way, ahead of its time. Looking at you, Spider-Man 2. This set doesn't even come with a figure. They just slapped his face on the side of the coaches. Maybe they thought Spider-Man needed to go on tour like an old-timey circus, and his web shooters weren't the best means of travel. I'm sure the manufacturers only released this as an eye-catcher to make a quick buck, and let's face it, it probably worked in some capacity. After all, it made this list. But can you imagine any other superheroes that were mad-libbed onto other transportation? Number 5. The Playmobil Scooby-Doo Vampire. The world of Playmobil is as vast as our very own. Practically every activity humanity is capable of, from sailing the 7 seas as a pirate to cleaning up toxic waste in a hazmat suit, has gotten the plastic treatment. So it's no surprise that some extremely questionable sets have been released by the toy makers. Hello, Red Hooded Executioner. Give my regards to your pal Satan. The weirdest has to go to the Scooby-Doo vampire figure. Not only is he a blood-sucking night dweller, but he's drinking a soda and holding a hot dog like he's at Yankee Stadium. Maybe he's enjoying a game of vampire baseball from Twilight. Based off of the glazed look on his face, I think the Scooby snacks had way more weed in them than usual. Number 4. WWF Superstar Shootout. There's a long list of things that I love in this world, and pro wrestling and ice hockey are on it. Now, besides the Goon and the times Chris Jericho and Norman Smiley donned full pads in the ring, how are these two things related? I mean, the detail that went into this game, from the photo decals to the player-specific sticks, are actually very impressive, especially for 1991 when this was released. However, how did the thought process that brought this tabletop hockey game come about? Someone at Remco saw Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6 and thought, you know what would make this match perfect? Rick the Model Martel setting up Sergeant Slaughter for a one-timer. Now, truth be told, out of everything on this list, for me personally, this is something I would mark out for the hardest. Number 3. Batman Interactive 3-Level Hamster House. Now, if the League of Shadows won't respond to your hamster's DMs and it still wants to train like the Dark Knight, well then, this is your next best option. The interactive hamster house, complete with 360-degree spinning Batman, I guess could be a good way to make kids more conscious of the responsibility of owning a pet. But the idea of combining the Caped Crusader and a hamster cage sounds like a subplot from a 1960s Batman and Robin comic, which is weird enough on its own. Number 2. The Real Ghostbusters Ceiling Fan. I know cold spots are usually associated with ghosts and the supernatural, however, I don't think that's what the makers of the Real Ghostbusters ceiling fan had in mind. With each blade adorning either the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, Slimer, or the No Ghost logo, this product just screams, "Fanboys will pay money for anything!" That being said, this fan is awesome, and any ceiling fan that isn't this one is complete crap. And number 1. James Bond Exploding Spoon. Kobo was somewhat known for the cap gun production and weren't shy about ripping off other brands. The original packaging for the exploding spoon labeled it the official X9 exploding spoon. I'm just guessing they just said, screw it, and went the whole 9 yards, ripping off James Bond entirely and altering the packaging. Lawsuits notwithstanding, in what possible scenario would an exploding spoon come in handy? 007 is being forced to eat ice cream with Blofeld. From the copyright violation to claiming that the spoon is harmless has landed the 007 Secret Agent Exploding Spoon at the top of my weirdness list. And there you have it, our top 20 pieces of merchandise that are so weird, you kind of want them. Did we leave anything out? Please let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Ryan and I will be back with all new Top 8 videos very soon, but until then, I'm Kevin from PlastiK AddiKts, and we'll see you next time.